And I'm sitting here with Laura. Laura, say hi.
Hi.
And what are we doing here today at the lovely Buffalo Billiards, so gracious to help us out?
This is the monthly Austin Search Marketing Meetup.
Okay, and who would go to this type of meeting?
Let's see. So if you're a consultant or a business owner or you want to start a website, anything like that, the whole spectrum.
Okay, and SEM stands for what?
Search engine marketing.
Okay, and search engine marketing. So like if you're on Google, on the side of Google or Yahoo or the pay-per-click ads, right? The ones that make a lot of people a lot of money, right?
Or the natural listings. So if you want to be number one, that's search engine optimization.
So SEO. Okay, and what are we doing here today?
Giovanni Gallucci has come from Dallas to talk to us about social media, everyone's favorite topic du jour. So we're going to learn about how to get attention from big media.
Okay, and what made you want to bring Giovanni to Austin?
Well, he seems to be everywhere, so we needed to have him here. That's pretty much it.
Giovanni he's the user evangelist at Viewzy, so check that out. And we hope you enjoy the presentation.
Bye. Thanks.
So I'll probably last about 30 minutes before I start giving up. But I've got the screen mic'd here. Can you hear me, Michelle? Can you hear me? So a little bit on my background. I was previously a Microsoft developer. I did VB development in ASP and kind of built web pages when the web started. And my career right off the bat was in search engines. So when Alexa and Lycos and all those guys were the cool search engines out there, I was building vertical search engines for different folks. And then during that same time, I was also building communities out for people. So after about 10 years, I was introduced to search engine marketing. I had no clue that you could actually have a career and actually make more money by tweaking metadata and meta tags on web pages instead of building out huge scalable applications on the back end. So spent about 5 years in search engine optimization. At the same time, because of my background in community, I kind of was using a lot of the stuff I learned with bulletin boards and forums and things like that to optimize websites. So today I work with Viewzy. We are a visual search engine. We're a meta search engine. What we do is we tap into open APIs, or we work with different websites and essentially crawl their sites on a as-needed basis to get their content to put into our search engine. But we're not crawling the web. We're not like Cool or any of those other search engines at Google that crawl the web. We're using open access information from other spots. So basically why we're here, and I'm going to hop up here. Essentially the talk here, and this is the first time that I've given this talk specifically, is to show real-life examples of how case studies of how we've taken social media and actually gotten into big media. Now, the reason why this is important, and I don't have the slide up here, but I'll put a slide in here showing you guys our analytics. While we live inside the bubble of social media and we know that the big newspapers are going to die soon and no one's going to be watching TV probably in a week and a half, the fact of the matter is that as search engine marketers, the big media outlets are still the holy grail for us. And while we can go out there and we can chase the long tail and we can do things to draw 150 people to a website a day instead of 35 people to a website a day, there's no argument that if you can go out and get hits on big dailies like Chicago Tribune, Austin American Statesman, Dallas Morning News, or if you can get yourself on CNN and things like that, the traffic's going to go through the roof. And pretty much by trial and error, we figured out ways that we can get access into media in some cases where we couldn't get PR firms that could get access for us. So newspapers are dying, and they're having a tough time, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Television is doing an amazing job of adapting to the web. You look at sites like Hulu, you look at how they're utilizing channels on YouTube and stuff like that. TV is adapted really well. And at the end of the day, what we're doing here with the social media stuff and the stuff that I'm going to show you is nothing more than public relations 101. We're just applying it to the web. Wrong. I tried to be cool, but it didn't work. So key points about when you're doing this stuff. And most importantly, you've got to be willing to be smart about what you're doing, but you've got to be willing to take risks. You've got to understand, number one, is your brand, is your service, is your product or your client the appropriate type of client or product to be using social media for them. I mean, I've got people that come to me and, you know, they want to sell badminton sets, or they want to sell water faucets, or they want to sell, you know, whatever that has no place in social media. But because social media is so sexy and because it's in its honeymoon, people will come to you and think that just because they think what they have is super cool, then you must be able to sell it on YouTube. One of the first gut checks you need to take and, you know, kind of focus yourself on is whatever you're doing, is it appropriate in the first place? And unfortunately, I would say in most cases it's not. You can go ahead and try and use it as a kind of a guinea pig, but when you go and you take something that doesn't work in social media and you fail, you need to look at whether or not you should have been doing it in the first place. A lot of the other stuff is, you know, be a human being, take risks, but don't be stupid about them. And if you do want to take risks and you want to be stupid, do it with accounts and don't do it on your clients. Don't do it with your product. Go out there, create accounts, tell people who you are, but do weird stuff to just kind of see what happens. You've got to experiment. And I'll tell you some of the stuff that I did experimenting and made a lot of mistakes. And is Bill Leakey here from Apogee Search? One of the funniest things that happened as far as pushing buttons to see how far something would go and getting my hand caught in the cookie jar was last year, not this last South by Southwest, but a year before then, Worley had done an interview with Web 2.0 TV that was down there videotaping interviews at South by Southwest. And so I was going and building out for the bar camp for this year's South by Southwest an example of how you could go in and create an interface that tied a bunch of different social media platforms into one, which is kind of a precursor to what we do with Vuzy. But it was a website that would pull up a video, it would look for stuff about Worley on Twitter, it would look for blog posts and things like that and tie them on together. So we're working on this application, and while we're doing it, we're using the video from the Web 2.0 TV interview from the previous South by Southwest, an example because it was relevant, right? What was happening is every time we were pinging that and doing that, it was raising his votes up on the website. And before we had started the project, William Leakey, who is the CEO of Apogee Search here in Austin, was #1 most viewed video on the site. Well, I get a call from him one weekend at my house saying, "What's going on? Did Worley get you and some of his other minions to go in there and game the system on this website?" And I'd never met the guy. I didn't know who he was. Went back and looked at the code. We hadn't been working on the thing for about 2 days, but there was a background process on the server that kept on hitting the site like 4 or 5 times a second. And so it shot Worley to the top. And of course, I talked to Bill about what we were doing, but that's an example of if you're going to go out there, you're going to do things, build these kind of applications, be ready to explain what you're doing. I talked to Bill about what was going on, what had happened. I'd called the programmer that had built the website for the Web 2.0 TV site, and we got the database reversed back and got all that traffic off the site because we knew that it was doing that while we were building the site. We had no idea that when we stopped working that background process was still going. So. Kind of a weird situation to be in, and then I ended up on a panel with Bill the next year. So the idea with Vuzy and most of the case studies we're going to use here is that when I came on to Vuzy about 4 or 5 months ago, the reason why Brandon Cotter, the owner, called me up was he knew what I did with social media and search engine optimization. So the plan is, can we launch this new search engine and do all of the PR, everything we're doing through social media alone? And, of course, I was game. And so, so we figured, okay, we could be stupid, but at this point we were launching in beta, and if it was a horrible failure, if we were complete idiots for doing this, so be it. We're still in beta. We weren't looking for big, huge hits. But we'll talk a little bit about, at the end game, and we're still in the middle of it now, but, there's some missed opportunities we've had, and so we could have done things differently if we had a traditional PR firm, but right now we're okay with where we're at in the campaign.